All right, everybody, let's dive into something kind of wild, okay? Picture this. You're a high school senior. You've been working your tail off, right? Grades are awesome, essays are practically glowing, you've got it all. But then someone else, maybe not quite as academically strong, they get a little boost on their application. Why? Because mom or dad strolled these same halls way back when, legacy admissions, and guess what? California's saying nope to that, at least for private colleges.
It's about time, right?
We're going deep on this new law today. What's it all about? What's going to change? We're going to break it down. And get this, our main source, it's an article from Our Weekly. They're a big deal in Los Angeles, focusing on Black news and entertainment. Gives us a really interesting angle, you know.
Oh, absolutely. You know, what's fascinating about all this is how many people have no clue this whole system even exists. We're not just talking donations here, right? Yeah. This is like baked-in advantage just because of your family tree. Kind of wild when you think about it.
No kidding. It really makes you think about, like, fairness, opportunity, the whole deal, you know. But, okay, let's get specific. Governor Newsom, he signed this bill, and it affects every single private nonprofit college in California. But hold on, there's a catch. It's not saying no to all special treatment. It's specifically about those perks you get from family donations or being an alumni kid.
Right, right. And here's the kicker. This thing doesn't go into effect until September 2025.
Wait, seriously, that's like, what, a 2-year heads up?
It's a long runway. And the article, it names some big players who've used this legacy thing, USC, Stanford, Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd. They've got time to strategize.
Feels a bit like giving an advantage to the folks who already had an advantage.
Exactly. And think about it. These are schools where getting in, it's like winning the lottery, single-digit acceptance rates, that kind of pressure. Legacy status might not be everything, but it could be the thing, right?
Huge. And it makes you wonder, why now? Why change this whole legacy admissions thing now?
Well, here in California, we're not exactly trailblazers on this, believe it or not. The article, it points out that both the CSU system, those are the state schools, and the UC system, you know, like UCLA, Berkeley, they actually banned legacy ages ago. Like way back, the UCs did it in 98.
1998. Seriously. How did I not know this? But it does make you wonder, why did it take private colleges so long to catch up? And here's the real kicker, okay? I'm quoting straight from the article here. There's no real punishment for schools that bring the law. Like, what?
Yeah, the only thing they're really facing is getting called out publicly. The California Department of Justice, they put violators on their website. Basically a name and shame kind of deal.
So is that really it? Like a slap on the wrist for these big shot universities?
Here's the thing, right? You got to understand how these institutions work. Image, reputation, it's everything. Yeah. Getting called out publicly, even without a fine, that's going to sting, right? Mm-hmm. Might even make some students think twice about applying. Who knows?
Feels kind of weak, right? Like a parking ticket for a speeding Lamborghini. They'll just shrug it off.
You might be surprised. It's not nothing, that kind of bad PR. But you're right. It's interesting because earlier versions of this law, they meant business. Schools caught breaking the rules, they'd have to pay back money, serious money, matching what they get from Cal Grant funds.
Whoa, okay, hold up. Cal Grant funds. For those of us who don't speak fluent college finances, what are we talking about here?
Sure, yeah. Basically, it's this big pot of money the state sets aside to help students in California afford college. Like, it can be a game changer for a lot of folks.
Makes sense.
So this earlier version of the law, it was going to hit these colleges where it hurts, right in the wallet. We're talking millions, potentially, for some of them.
Wow. Talk about high stakes. Makes you wonder what kind of backroom deals happen to soften that blow, you know? But okay, even without the financial penalty, this whole thing is part of a bigger picture, right? This push against legacy admissions.
Absolutely. California's not alone here. The article even mentions a bunch of other states that have already axed legacy. Maryland, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado. It's becoming a thing.
A trend, and speaking of trends, there's this other big thing going on, right? The whole Supreme Court ruling about affirmative action. The article even connects those two.
Yeah, that Supreme Court decision was a bombshell. I mean, they basically overturned decades of precedent, saying colleges can't factor in race for admissions anymore. Just like that. And that just throws gasoline on this whole debate about fairness in college admissions, right? It's got everyone looking around for like, okay, what else is giving certain students an unfair leg up? And legacy admissions, they're right there in the spotlight.
Right, because on the one hand, we're trying to make things more equal, more opportunities for everyone, but then this court case comes along and sort of yanks the rug out. It's a mess.
Totally. But I think it highlights something important, this idea of legacy, right? It might sound all fancy and traditional, but when you really look at it, it's tied up with a lot of, well, historical baggage,
Mhm.
inequality, basically. So getting rid of it is just one piece of the puzzle. We got to look at the whole system.
It's like, sure, you can open the door wider, but what if there's still a giant moat and a fire-breathing dragon on the other side? It's not exactly a level playing field.
Right.
So, okay, let's get real here. For anyone listening who's thinking about applying to college soon, I mean, what does this law actually mean for them? Should we all just be hitting the SAT prep books twice as hard now?
Well, there's no magic formula, unfortunately. But here's the thing. This new law, it's probably going to make things even more competitive, especially at those top-tier schools.
Yeah.
No more easy pass for the legacy kids. So
Yeah.
all that other stuff on your application, extracurriculars, those essays you've been sweating over, recommendations, they're going to matter even more now.
So no more coasting on grandpa's varsity jacket.
Gotcha. Exactly. But, and this is important, even those holistic reviews, the ones that look at the whole student, they're not perfect. There's still bias baked in. Like, can you afford those fancy tutors? Did you go to a high school that had, like, underwater basket weaving and competitive esports? Those things matter.
It's like trying to make things fair, but the starting line is still all wonky.
Totally. It's like we're solving one problem, but there's a whole other line of problems right behind it.
Right. And this is something people don't always talk about, right? Getting into college. That's a big deal, don't get me wrong. But it's not like, all your problems are solved once you're in.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Like, that acceptance letter doesn't magically erase, like, years of maybe not having the same opportunities as someone else. Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a student, you work so hard, right? You beat the odds, got into this amazing school, no legacy, just pure hustle. And then you get there, and everyone around you, they've got tutors on speed dial, their parents practically wrote their essays, they've known the professor since they were, like, 5. It's
Yeah.
like another layer of inequality.
It's not just about getting to a college. It's about being able to thrive once you're there. So where do we go from here? Like if someone's listening around like, man, this is messed up. I want to do something. What can they actually do?
That is the question, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not easy, that's for sure. But I think first things first, we got to stop putting so much emphasis on those rankings,
Yeah.
the prestige. Look beyond that. And that goes for choosing a college. For yourself, for your kids, whatever. Do your research. How do they actually handle admissions? What's their financial aid situation like? Do they actually support students who are like the first in their families to go to college or who are coming from low-income backgrounds? Those are the things that matter.
Yeah, look beyond the fancy brochures.
Exactly. And don't just look, act.
Yeah.
Support those organizations that are out there fighting for better access, making education more equitable. Those groups exist. They're doing the work. And honestly, just talk about it.
Because if we don't talk about it, nothing changes, right? The more we have these conversations, the harder it is to ignore the problems. And that's kind of what we're doing here, right? This law in California, yeah, it's a good thing, but it's one state, it's one step. We've got a long way to go before we can really say there's true educational equity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not just about changing laws and policies. It's about changing how we think. Creating a world where every single student is given the chance to succeed, to reach their full potential, no matter their last name, no matter how much money their parents have. That's what it's all about.
Love it. And on that note of like hope and action and like really believing in the power of education to change the world, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive. But for everyone listening, seriously, keep asking those tough questions, keep fighting for what's right, and never ever underestimate just how powerful education can be. Until next time, keep diving deep.